Welcome back to the Costa Report. And now we come to everybody's favorite secret addiction, what's new in the wonderful world of technology. And here to tell us is Luis Alvarez, the CEO of Alvarez Technology Group. Hi, Luis. Thanks for joining us again.
It is my pleasure, Rebecca. Let me tell you, every time I feel down, I come on your show and my ego just gets boosted. So thank you very much for that.
Well, happy to provide a drug-free boost. So you know, with all that governments are doing right now to crack down on street and white-collar crime around the world, I wanted to ask you, you know, the biggest threat seems to be in cyberspace, and we don't hear that much about cracking down on internet hackers and criminals who cross country lines and are wreaking absolute havoc right now.
Well, you're right. It's a really complicated landscape, but, you know, that's starting to change for the good. For example, a couple of weeks ago, the FBI shut down a cyberspace black market site with the really cool name of Silk Road. Think of it as the Amazon.com for illegal products, everything from crack cocaine to hacker tools like viruses and Trojan spyware. You can even get counterfeit money.
Counterfeit money?
Yeah, for $25 you can buy a $100 counterfeit bill. And you could get falsified documents. $2,000 gets you a U.S. passport, and $10,000 would get you full U.S. citizenship papers. So, you know, the Silk Road was considered to be the largest, most profitable of the numerous black market sites that exist in cyberspace. And they made up to, you know, some of the feds say it's like over $1 billion, $1.2 billion, somewhere in there.
Oh, boy, you talk about a security problem. And you say it's just one of many sites. I mean, how were people paying for these black market products? I mean, they weren't using credit cards that were traceable, were they?
No, that's the interesting part, because you're right. You know, credit card transactions, even banking transactions are traceable. So what these guys do is they use a currency, a cyber currency called Bitcoin that was invented specifically to be used in cyberspace for legal transactions, but these guys have managed to use it for illegal transactions. And Bitcoin is like a commodity. It's traded on public markets, so you can convert your Bitcoins to real money, but the Bitcoins are very difficult to track.
Wow. Well, so who was behind the Silk Road? The one that got this got busted by our own law enforcement, is that right?
Yeah, the FBI working in conjunction with some international agencies. Silk Road was a creation of a guy named Ross William Ulbricht, who lives in San Francisco. He's a 29-year-old American former physics and engineering student, and he publicly espoused a lot of free market libertarian economic ideals and railed against the government. And by the way, quick side note, this guy has an eerie profile that matches guys like, you know, Julian Assange and Eric Snowden, which makes me wonder if we're getting a peek into a generational shift in thinking about markets and the government that could have some really scary consequences.
Yeah, like scary, young, lonely white guys
with the smarts to really cause some
who are up to no good. Somebody get them a girlfriend, please.
Well, you know, one of the intriguing things about Silk Road, though, is that it existed in a part of the internet known as the dark web. Right? You know how I love bringing this stuff to your attention,
and you know how much I lose sleep.
Well, the dark web is really a name given to part of the internet that's hidden from view from most people, and you can only access it using sophisticated tools and software that reveal its presence only if you know where to look.
Okay, I'm going to bite. What the heck is a dark web? This is sounding like no place I want to go.
Well, you know, it works this way. The primary way of gaining access to the dark web and to sites like Silk Road that exist there is to use software, something called Tor, or the Onion Router. Really, that's his name.
The Onion Router.
The Onion Router.
I use the Onion Router to get to the dark web.
Hey, cyber guys are good
this
with
is
names.
The middle of the afternoon. What bar are you at, and where do we send the cab?
Well, I can get really technical
the Onion
and go,
Router.
It's a real thing, and I can get kind of geeky and tell you how it works. But just think of it as a secure, encrypted series of cyber tunnels that are layered over the traditional internet backbone. So in essence, they exist in the same place that the internet does, but nobody knows about it. It's kind of like if you lived in a suburban neighborhood with thousands of houses and hiding amongst the sedate cookie-cutter homes, there are dozens of meth labs operating, but only the bad guys know where the labs exist.
You mean where I live?
Well, I can rescue you from there.
Right, okay.
So the dark web is a place where these sites all set up shop, and it's a place that cyber agencies that track criminals are just starting to tap into and just starting to look at, but they're getting smarter about it. And then the fact that they took down Mr. Ulbricht and Silk Road tells you that they're paying attention and getting better at it.
That's right. Well, now you say that the dark web's opened up a new way of doing business over the internet. Is that right?
That's correct. And the way it works is if you have the right tools, you know where to go, and in certain cases, you have to be invited to participate. You just can't show up and start transacting business. So it's a very scary criminal world, but it's like any criminal enterprise. The bad guys will find it if it exists.
Well, this is like the electronic version of the mafia. You don't get to just set up in the local neighborhood. We got territories.
Yeah, and since these guys all tend to use nom de plumes, if you will, pseudonyms. Nobody says, "Hey, I'm Ross Ulbricht. I'm here to do illegal stuff." Mm-hmm. They call themselves Mr. Ulbricht used the name the Dread. What do they call it? The Dread pirate something or other.
What? So he called himself a pirate.
He called himself a pirate. Yeah, using the name from the guy.
What are these kids?
In certain cases, they are. Yeah, they act like children. They rail against authority, and
this is adolescence with too much power. I am not comfortable with this.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think we need to find a way to address these issues, especially as this generation of young, very talented, very tech savvy folks start to kind of stretch their legs, and we're going to need to find a way to deal with this kind of stuff, because before they could throw temper tantrums on the street and nobody much cared, but now they're throwing temper tantrums and upsetting the economy, and we're going to have to figure a way out.
Well, what my theory is? My theory is if you don't give them jobs, this is what they do. If you don't give kids things to do, then you can't complain when they do things you don't want them to do.
You do have to find a way to engage with them. Absolutely.
You do. Absolutely. And this is what unemployment is going to give us. It's going to give people that will find employment doing mischief that we don't need. Well, you know what? This is just another offshoot of the internet that's going to scare the pants off of me tonight when I start thinking about it. So I think about the dark web and the onion that you get into the dark web. And I don't know. I tell you, I love hearing from you, but boy, the more I hear, the more concerned I get. And I am concerned about cybercrime these days. That's all the time we have left, but thanks for coming by and giving us an update, Louis.
My pleasure. This is Louis Alvarez of the Alvarez Technology Group, reminding everyone that when it comes to technology, forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed.